Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. He's back. We've got him back before Man United have even got Sancho back. You know, how you doing, Ricky?
I'm fine, mate. Fine. You okay?
Yeah. It's good to have you back, and especially on a game. I think any of the preseason games wouldn't have mattered as much as this. We're 1 week out. You had some concerns about our preseason. We looked good in that first half, though. We looked very good.
Yeah, we passed it around well. I'm not going to be as giddy, you know me, Mark. I'm not going to be as giddy as most. I don't think. I mean, you correct me if you can think of one. I don't think we actually created a chance in open play. I mean, we scored with 2 set pieces, and then obviously a real rip by the keeper gave us a goal. You're not going to get that too often in the Premier League. Obviously, Bruno scored a free kick. I read a stat while I was away the other week. In the Premier League last season, only James Ward-Prowse scored more than once with a direct free kick all season. So the mere fact, it's great to win 4-0 in the end, obviously, but 3-0 at half-time, and you might take your foot off the gas. So there is the argument that they didn't need to create any chances. But at the same time, you can't expect us to score a free kick every week. I mean, how often do we score with a set piece? Harry Maguire header, probably twice a season. So these things have all happened in a game today. And I kept hearing the commentators sort of saying that Everton are poor, Everton are this, they're not doing well. You know, it's an easy game. I think they're jumping the gun there a little bit. There was a couple of things went our way that okay, that helps us to take the foot off the gas, and we didn't need to create a load of chances. But at the end of the day, we didn't. I mean, you remind me of a chance we missed in the first half. I can't remember one. I don't think we had a chance in the first half in open play.
I think it's a great point, because actually, when I think back across the game, Everton did have a few half chances, but we didn't. We didn't. And a lot of people were saying, oh, Martial didn't play well. But I said the same thing I said last year. Tell me the chances we're creating for these strikers.
Yeah, we're not creating chances. We weren't creating chances too often last season, and despite, you see, people will get a bit giddy today, thinking, "Oh, what a great start! Everton had a decent side out, which they did, and we've beaten them 4-0." On another day, we don't put them set people like if people will think I'm being a bit churlish. I don't think I am. On another day, the free kick hits the bar or it goes just over, because that's what happens. It's not often you score direct with a free kick. It's very rare that we score with an header from a corner. What is it, twice a season perhaps? You know, you could make an argument out that it might be a bad thing. I'm not saying it is a bad thing, because you need to practice, you need to get these things right as often as you can. But if you're just going to look at stats, you could argue it's a bad thing that we scored that free kick and that we scored that header. I'd
like to set Captain back for next week, for sure.
Exactly. It might be 20 games now before we score with a set piece, you know what I mean?
What I did think about the game, though, look, and I'll give your man a shout out, MATIC. I mean, Donny van de Beek got man of the match on our player ratings, but it was very close between him and MATIC. I loved the tempo that was set by the midfield in that game.
Yes.
What did you? I actually said in my match reaction the difference in that game was MATIC and Donny in the first half and not having him in the second half. Was it that simple for you, or what did you like about the first half and the second half?
The second half was definitely better. So, you know, don't get me wrong. The fact that the goals came from set pieces and that, you know, doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It was a good performance. They played well. They moved the ball around more quickly, but it was just in the top third, really. But at the end of it, like you've just said, I think most people, I heard the guy on MUFC who does all the stats, he picked MATIC out as his performer of the first half. Then it went back to the game, and Ben Thornley was the co-commentator, and he said MATIC and Van der Beek were the best two players. So it seems to be pretty obvious to everyone that MATIC played well and that Van der Beek played well. So we were passing it well in the midfield, but those players, the likes of MATIC and Van der Beek in the position that he's playing in, obviously they're going to make chances occasionally, but it's not up to them to make the chances. It's up to them to pass the ball to the players who have got to make the chances, the players a bit further forward. So they're doing their job perfectly well. It's a little bit further forward where it's breaking down a little bit too easily too often for me. And I thought they played well. And the fact that they were taken off at half-time, by the way, I've got a sneaky feeling they might be starting next week.
Well, I know we're going to talk about that when we do tomorrow night's show as well. But, exactly. I just think that, I thought Fred was okay second half. Pogba looked off the pace. I'm
worried about what's going to happen with Paul Pogba. I really am.
Go on then, tell me that.
When you think we've spoken on previous shows about the facts. I mean, I've argued against you and the other people on the show, like people saying we need Pogba, we need it, and I'm saying why do we need him? Because he doesn't get in the team in front of McTominay and Fred. I'm not saying I wouldn't pick him in front of McTominay or Fred, but the manager doesn't pick him in front of McTominay or Fred, so he gets shoved out to the left. I'm going to touch again here on what I'm worried about the pre-season as well. So then when we're making all these subs, Pogba comes on in his central position. He lasts there 10 minutes. Then they bring Garner on. For James, look, I know it's not. I'm not suggesting that they're saying James Garner's better. They just want to give James Garner some minutes, and it's his preferred position. It's possibly the only position he can play. But at the end of the day, Pogba's getting pushed out to the left wing for James Garner to have some minutes.
It's the sort of treatment you give Pereira, isn't it? He's not your star player.
What's the point? Look, no disrespect to the likes of James Garner and Pereira, but we've spoken about us not having enough matches. We should have had a match last midweek. We should have another match, I reckon, this Tuesday. And I wouldn't be then against the likes of Garner and Pereira getting minutes. There's not enough minutes if you share it amongst the 16 or 17 players. I mean, look, if he is going to start with Matic and Van der Beek, which I think he might, the likes of Fred needs. I know he got a bit of time, but Fred needs a bit more time. Who else come on as sub? There's loads of players. Mata played well when he come on as a sub. McTominay come on. There's players who might get games or might even come on as a sub. But to be giving players game time at the expense of game time for the players who might play, it's wrong, I think. Look, it's horrible, and I'm not picking on Garner. He's a decent player.
He should be on loan already anyway. The championship kicked off today.
Pereira, those players, I would bet my house on it that none of those three players will even come on as a sub in the first 10 games. What's the point of giving those? There's too many other players ahead of them in the pecking order. And I'm not talking about 3 or 4. I'm talking about if you was to pick 2 full-strength teams, they might not be in one of them. Do you know what I mean? Dalot played well when he came on, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, look, I want to talk to you about Matic, but I just want to pick on that, and we'll go back on Dalot as well. I think it's spot on. I think Garner is going to go on loan to the Championship, which kicked off today. You'd question why he's still here. Like, why is he not on loan? And also, Pogba, I'm a big fan of Pogba, but I'd struggle to see how he can start against Leeds, not only because he didn't play well, but also because he's been shifted all over the place. So, Ollie, what's his role? And thirdly, where's the minutes to justify it? He's only started training this week. You'd think I'd want to give him an hour in the midfield or something like that, which he didn't do. Lots of people this summer, I don't know whether you've been keeping an eye on it, Ricky, lots of people are absolutely obsessed that we need to buy a midfielder this summer. I don't think you need to buy a midfielder if Nemanja Matic is 27, but I wanted to ask you as a big fan of Matic. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Matic. I'll call it out when he plays well. I'll call it out when I don't think he plays well. But today, I think he showed that he is the only specialist centre defensive midfielder we've got. My theory on Matic is that, oh, yeah, fantastic. If he could play 3 times a week, I'd use him. But clearly he can't do that because last season he was totally ignored. What do you think about that midfield if we need a midfielder?
I don't agree with you. He was totally ignored. I haven't got the stats in front of me, but I bet he's in all competitions. I bet he started 20 games, and I bet he come on as a sub 10 or 15 times. He wasn't nothing like totally ignored, but certainly didn't play the amount of games that I think he should have played. And although you're saying he can't play 3 games a week, you don't need to play 3 games a week. Certainly not every week. I'd like, no doubt, we'll be speaking tomorrow night about how we think we'll do. Are we going to mount a serious challenge? I'd like to say, let's take it one step at a time. And if you look at the first 3 games, Leeds, Southampton and Wolves, we haven't got any midweek games in between them. So long as it goes okay, why can't Matic play all 3 of those games with a week's rest in between?
Well, he can, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And then there's a 2-week international break. Then let's start again. And if he is playing every game, then you might sort of go, well, I'll tell you what, even if he has a bit of an off day, does it really matter? He's played well 5 times in a row or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I think you could get away with Matic playing virtually every game. Not every game, obviously. But obviously, I'm a big fan of his, and I think he's been mistreated for seasons, and I don't see it changing too much. Although, as I've just said, everybody's raving. It's almost, don't want to say this, but it's almost like a new signing. They're raving about him on MUTV as if they've not seen him play for United before. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I was talking to Romano a couple of weeks ago on the show, Fabrizio, and he said, Matic might be a player that, they're looking at in Italy. And I was like, I'll be perfect for him. He's getting on, slower league. I mean,
I heard you. I listened to one of your shows, mate, and I heard you say during the Euros that you fancied England to beat Italy because they are playing such a slow league. I was hoping that the result of the game might have changed your mind on that.
Well, I just think that the interesting thing with the Matic is that we've almost been sold a dummy by Ollie. Because if you think about a year ago, not last season, a year ago, when we came back from COVID, the first break, and we basically played Matic, Pogba and Bruno, and it worked. And I was like, this works. You've got a holding midfielder who protects the back four and conducts the game. Yeah. And then the next season, he prioritises McFred, and you think, well, only an idiot would do that. You wouldn't pick McFred over Matic. So Matic must... And he retired from international duty as well. So my assumption has always been, and I'll stand by it, well, Matic is done. He's no use to us anymore. He's done. Because why would you ever pick McFred over Matic? And then you see Matic today and you go, he's not, he doesn't look done to me. That Everton team's quite energetic. It doesn't look done to me. What's been going on again? And you start thinking, well, what did we do? Why didn't we pick him every game last year? Or at least not every game, but, he did pick McFred in the big games.
He certainly could play. He certainly could play once a week, couldn't he? And that's probably enough. It's probably enough. Do you know what I mean? Because, there's going to be like some of the midweek games, Champions League games. There will be one sort of a lower ranked team in that we should beat, whether we pick a full strength team. Most of your midweek games are League Cup ties or Champions League games. He could play virtually every league match, I think. You know what I mean? And it's got to start well. What I'd like to say, and again, this is a subject for tomorrow night, we've got to start well. So no doubt tomorrow you'll ask me where I think we'll finish. What I'd like to say is we need to start well and let's worry about it bit by bit, how we can go on in the season. We need to beat Leeds. And from what I've seen of all the pre-season games, not just today, Matic has got to play. We've got more chance of winning if Matic plays.
Yeah, and I think we learned that lesson last year, didn't we, Ricky, as well? You can pick a team to play against Leeds and we can all put Sancho and Pogba and Varane and everybody in it, but ultimately they are not going to be fit for that game. We saw against Palace last year, you pick a team that's not fit, at this level you get beat. One thing you saw from Matic and Van der Beek and Wan-Bissaka and Dan James and Greenwood, they're all match fit. And, Bruno as well looks fit as well. So you've got to go with that. You were mentioning Delo, though, just at right back. We've obviously been linked to Trippier. Atletico Madrid wanting good money for him. Is that wasted money when you've got Delo that we're looking to ship out? Or do you think that's wise by Ollie to do that?
Trippier's a top player, obviously. I like Delo. Is he going to be as good as Trippier? Is he better? I think Trippier's better than Wan-Bissaka, by the way. A lot of people thinking he'd be being signed to put pressure on Wan-Bissaka. I think Trippier would go straight in the team if we signed it. Can Delo be that good? I don't know. He's certainly a decent player. Even when people, on a show, I don't know, 2 years ago, I was arguing with Saeed. He was saying how poorly he played at Newcastle. And I watched the game back and I said, well, I've watched the game, I deliberately watched it back. And then the following week, I said, Delo had a perfectly good game at Newcastle. What are you talking about? He's a decent player, Delo. And do you know what's mad about football? People might sit up and take a little bit of notice just because he scored. The fact that he scored doesn't matter whatsoever.
No, it doesn't. Well, look, we'll leave it there because we're going to be on the Sunday show tomorrow. And I know it is just a match reaction, but I must admit, I don't normally do what you do as much. I will be watching that first 45 minutes back as soon as I can because I think that's how I want to see United play like that. The tempo was really good, and I think that's the difference when you play a Matic and a Van der Beek to a McFred. And remember, a lot of people forget about this. They were saying that's the first time they played together. They played against Wolves. Just before the Europa League, they played against Wolves. Ahmad played as a false nine.
Sure, in the last 5 or 6 games of the season, our best performance of the season was Wolves away.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's actually technically their second game together.
Yeah, we played well twice.
And we played really well twice. Let's hope it's the hat-trick against Leeds next week.
Let's hope so.
Well, cheers, Ricky. It's great to have you back. Obviously, you're going to be on tomorrow night as well, and then the matches kick off next week. But great to have you back, mate. And who would be your man of the match, finally? Who would you give it?
I'd have to give it Matic, I think, wouldn't I? I'd have to give it
no surprises there. As long as I think no surprises there.
The best player in the second half was Juan Mata, by the way. But anyway, we'll leave
to ruin it.
We'll leave that till tomorrow night.
Thanks for coming on, Ricky. Thanks everyone for watching.
See you later.